There once was a man with two different names and two different faces.
So, just want to give a brief overview about what this is all about. And I like having conversations with everybody of every walk of life. So I'll get on with atheists and talk to atheists. I'll get on with people of all different types of faith. This is basically based around religion, which most of you know, most of you that follow me on Facebook or Twitter or what have you. But I am trying to show that we can have good conversations with people without anything getting violent.
The empathetic atheist.
The empathetic atheist.
Empathetic atheist.
He genuinely thinks that hanging around with a bunch of fucking idiots all the time is gonna make him smarter.
I asked him straight up if he agreed with it or not. And he said that he agreed with it in an Islamic state.
In an Islamic state, what's stopping me legally from going and killing someone is
April 21st, 2020. It was a dark time. A mysterious pandemic is raging all over the world. And in America, most people are at home. In fear of what is to happen next, in fear they had lost the society they once knew. And in this time of uncertainty is where it all began.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to the first and debut show of the Empathetic Atheist Show. My name is Justin Downing. Thank you very much for tuning in.
The Empathetic Atheist debuted that late April evening. A secular human podcast with a goal to promote an honest and open dialogue.
But thank you, man.
Yeah, not a problem. It's great to have you on today. I want to actually thank a few people for tuning in right now. I got 7 people viewing as of right now on my show. I got Wes Sturtevant. He's actually helped me. He is the creator of if you look up in the top right corner, the empathetic atheist symbol.
Oh wow!
And he is the creator of that, and I thank him so much for everything that he's done. He's helping me out with my website. I'd also like to thank Pastor Taylor James for tuning in.
I met Justin Downs in about 2019. I'd say late 2019-ish. I was the pastor of Prayer Works. And I would do these interactive live streams called Atheist Anonymous, and the atheists would come and heckle me. And that's where I encountered Justin Downing.
Because it makes them look silly.
And he would harp on my comment section. Right, I recognized him because he showed up quite a bit in there. But it wasn't until later, like during the pandemic, like a few months after that, we met. I received a random Facebook message asking if I would like to come on his show, the Empathetic Atheist Show. This is their inaugural run. And I said, sure, I'll be there. I'll even write. He wanted to platform me, and I didn't have anything else to do. I think it was a Tuesday or Thursday night. So I hopped on, checked it out. He gave me a shout out from the stream and told me to come on the after party. And so I was there at the first one.
You're labeled as Pastor Taylor. I'm just curious to know why you have that name.
Because I graduated from a Bible college, and I'm a Hellfire preacher.
Okay.
I'm a Baptist Hellfire preacher, and I do show on Prayer Works.
Okay. But
I'm also always intrigued to talk about my faith with people, especially in the atheist community, because I usually just feed trolls on my show, and they have ears to hear, so let them hear. Right? That's early on in the show. I was a fan. I came back after the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one, and the fourth one, because they had a pretty great array of guests. Like this was like the first of its kind. Like I don't think that there was a lot of streams like that. You even had some shows where one night it was some loopy religious guy. The next night it would be no shit biblical skeptics, right? And then there was even one night where I was just being yelled at by this scantily clad, foul-mouthed New Yorker. No, I called into the atheist experience.
But was it
I'd
necessary
like.
to turn
hold
around
on.
with your little voice?
I'm super
pretending to
interested
be
in
him?
the fallacy.
No, it was not.
Huh?
So if you cannot continue to act like a fucking adult, shut the conversation down and shut your mouth. Maybe this is why Matt cut you off.
So these after parties were pretty fucking wild. Like you would have a, who's behind door number one, who's behind door number, and anyone could just pop in there.
Why? Because without God, one cannot invoke any necessity at all. Now, you said there was
That's an assertion. Please demonstrate that.
Can I? Okay. Without God, without God being the absolute and constructing a world so that we could
Which
know
God?
something. May I finish, please? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll get to that momentarily. See, this is the tactic of atheists. When you start answering, they cut you off.
this is
Now,
tactic of clarity.
okay.
No.
Yeah,
I want to listen to what he
I'd-
says
I'd
because
like to finish.
Yeah.
Well, I originally met Justin on the Damn Show, the Daily Atheist Morning Show. And funny part is the first one, Chris had asked him to co-host.
That's like a month and a half, 2 months.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been a...
we hit the lull. I think finally everyone's like, you'll hit that bump, but it's still going at a pace that we never even thought would happen at the beginning. So
Yeah, I need to get some pointers from you.
pretty
guys.
awesome.
I've been doing it for
everyone's
almost
like,
the
well,
same amount. I've almost been doing it for about the same amount of time as you guys, but I'm at like 250 right now. So I need to take some pointers.
that was the first time I met Justin, and once he and I learned that we were trying to create channels or platforms that had similar in some notions as far as just trying to create healthy conversations and relationships. That's really where it originated, was that. And we, myself and others with Tang appeared on his show. He and Wes had appeared on our show, and that's how that relationship and at that point friendship had started. Starting at the bottom of the screen here, the host and the creator of the Empathetic Atheist Show on YouTube, Justin. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Now we're pumped to have you, man. We're gonna have a good night. We're gonna have some fun tonight. It was peaceful. There was nothing. There's nothing, looking back at it, there was nothing that stood out to me, as problematic that early. But we started our channels at almost the exact same time. I think they're within like 2 or 3 weeks of each other, as far as startup date. So at that point, there wasn't any red flags or alarms there. But yeah, I remember that. But everything was cool then. So Justin and Bryce and he can't be here tonight, but Wes that plays a big part of the show. We've really grown a good friendship and a good bond with these folks, and we were on their show about a week ago. Now they're on ours, and we're excited to have them here on our platform. We're gonna have a great time tonight.
I'm even invited to come on the fucking Tart Show, right? Atheist Roundtable to talk to them, and it just happens to be a ploy to fucking ambush me for making fun of Justin and his little show on Facebook.
Yeah, you have somebody that I respect the hell out of, like Justin, that's trying to do the best that he knows how to do for the world, and you choose to mock him in the name of Christ.
I didn't mock him in the name of Christ.
Well, you're constantly online talking about Christ and Pastor Taylor, and so whether you want to or not, that's what you're projecting. I remember he had asked me to come on and help essentially co-host a show with a Christian, and it was
just someone else. I don't know how to do that.
Then okay. If it's God pursuing us, then why has God not found Justin in Austin?
All right, yeah. So like the first time I ever met EA was still Empathetic Atheist. Wes Studevant was his producer and had reached out to me. I had talked to Wes a few times. We had a pretty decent relationship. I think we still probably do. And we've always gotten along. So Wes asked me to come on, and I was like, yeah, I'll come on. I considered EA at that time to be an up and comer, and I think a lot of people did too. my channel wasn't much bigger than his at the time, but at the same time I'd been doing it longer. So like, yeah, like to me, he was like this new guy coming along and he was making some waves. Why is there a reprobate doctrine and that would say that some human beings God has hate for now and that they have a one-way ticket to hell? Like if this is like something that happened to you and has happened to Christians and God is finding Christians, then, you know, God would be powerful enough to find us all. And I wouldn't then be you know, paying the price after I die just because I failed to believe in something I couldn't see while I was alive.
Well, that's a question that I don't have an answer to, because I've even asked that question myself. Why did you choose me and not the guy standing beside of me? Why?
Yeah, John.
I don't know.
The Christians in the room, there was a couple Christians in the room. They started to go at me. They started to go at me pretty hard. And I remember, I don't remember like Khalil participating, but I remember Khalil just being completely silent during it all and not, you know, coming to my defense as an atheist against these one or two people. And, you know, one of the people was like, James is tired.
So with different versions of secular humanism, there's not really like a secular humanism. And from that perspective, given that atheists don't believe anything happened when you die, it's nihilism, which means that ultimately nothing matters in the end. So how do you adapt from that perspective? And my first interactions with him were just infuriating.
All right, so, and then I'll let other people pipe in because they'll probably have more sophisticated answers than me. So my secular humanism, you're right. It's not like, I don't look at secular humanism as a standard. It's a personal thing that I kind of live by, and mine isn't necessarily all that nice. So like I think that all human beings have merit and there's grounds for respect. And then if human beings give me reason not to respect them, then I have that reason.
And then eventually, like, I started being a regular theist, you know, contributor on his after show, and he would do interview like people. Like I helped him secure a couple big names in the community.
I don't see the difference between Andrea Yates and Abraham, and yet almost every Christian would immediately recognize her as being, they would call her evil. I wouldn't. I would call her mentally unbalanced, but they would probably call her evil, and yet Abraham is called righteous. So is that an unfair analogy?
No. So I don't. So first of all, I did a video specifically about the Binding of Isaac, the story, not the game that I play on Twitch. And I don't know if you've seen that, but I don't want to rehash the whole thing. But I'll say this.
And then after that, there'd be a couple hours where theists would come on. We would interact. There'd be some debate. There'd be some discussion. It took off in like a mini capacity. I don't know if it ever really broke.
My understanding of the story of Abraham and Isaac is that God was testing Abraham. Now, clearly, God is not testing Abraham for God's benefit because God already knows what's going to happen. So the test must be something for Abraham's benefit. And it is to let Abraham know that, okay, you're doing what God wants.
Well, I met Justin because I knew producer Wes. And producer Wes was in my Facebook group. It started the Church of Heretics. It started off as a Facebook group and an idea, and I kind of gained a little bit of notoriety in my little corner of the internet with my memes I was making, and I just write funny little posts and make funny little memes. And the Reverend Brother, he then through all that had been born. And Wes really thought, and I had expressed my ideas of bringing the Church of Heretics to life, and Wes had reached out to me. Now, Wes and I had gotten talking, and he told me about Justin and how he'd started, and he knew some stuff with some of the programs, and that so he'd be willing to help me. So I met Justin, and we set up an interview to come on to his show, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs, and Justin's was a super nice guy, He
So,
tried
yeah,
showing.
the thing about the live streams, well, they were too out of hand, or at least I would think so.
Theism is all fucking elitist and everything else, but you're gonna come to us talking about who's the theist here? Let me fucking tell you, more than half these you just said who's the theist.
Wes was one party, and you know, I really became friends with Justin and Wes after my initial participation in the show, and I was always told, thank you for participating in the show, and right, they're always appreciative. But I would be in their back channels and I would hear that they were discussing how, right, Justin didn't really do anything. He's just sitting in the corner, and right, the show is just like flying off the rails. So they need to get back in control, and they have more interested partnerships, right? So that the old faces started to fall out, and then new faces started to usher in.
Is his new co-host Bryce. Great to have you, man. How you feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yep. No, glad you were able to join Justin.
The graphics were improving. Right? They were double networking. Right? Justin was going on more other shows.
Empathetic atheist.
The empathetic atheist.
Empathetic atheist.
So with production quality comes bigger guests.
Yes, we have up on deck is Mr. Arn Ra, the man with the phylogeny challenge that still hasn't been solved yet. What's going on, Arn?
The riffraff can't just come in anymore. It's a new show.
Inspired in a book that wasn't.
Prophecy. And speaking of prophecy, Justin Downing, I'm glad to see you back in the chat. You challenged God some weeks ago for me to ask God for you for a word that God wanted me to give to you. Well, God has given me a word for you.
Okay.
How did he do that?
No. I want to clarify that what I asked you to
good.
do was to ask God what he wants you to tell me to convince me that he exists. So, guys, get ready. I'm about to be a Christian.
Now, this is God's prophecy for you, Justin. Quote, this is the beginning of the end of your show, unquote, because of what you have done regarding the 3v3 with my friend Ethan Horn, my dad, Dr. David Eisner, and myself. You have been judged. You have cursed God's children, and it will not stand. And you will know that he is God and he is real when these events come to pass.
God.
Justin's show ran for several hours, 3 nights a week, which invited a wide array of diverse and, at times, very peculiar individuals to join. In turn, the show quickly began to gather a cult following and started its inevitable expansion.
All right, so we're in Empathetic Atheist Show Season 2. All right, and Justin has a whole new different personality.
You know, I chose, I didn't really know what I'd talk about coming into this to motivate this, but, I had this conversation with Katie and it went well. And so I'm going to assume that it's prime numbers are familiar enough to most people, right? Divisible by only one and themselves. If there is a prime number P, okay? A number of the form 2P plus 1, such that this, and let's let the set of all primes be denoted, boldface, like some big P, right? Just so it's obvious. So this is a set. And I can define a set if you want me to, but
a lot of us had worked hard to try to get the guy his first 1,000 subscribers. Like I remember we started like messaging people on Facebook. He's at 960, he's almost there. Let's get him to 1,000. We had a private group going with some Christians and atheists, and there was also at the same time a private Muslim group going. So we all combined, and we invited all these guys together. Justin just took off in the messenger, and so then we did private messenger groups.
Yeah, and to make up for what's lacking, right? All the contentious guests, right? Just putting the brakes on the show, only having popular atheists and very docile conversations. Justin starts a group called Master Debaters to test out his skill, right? Justin's also taking a bunch of radical positions. Hard determinism.
I can't choose what I'm convinced of. And I can't choose what convinces me.
Like when he thought determinism was the best argument, hard determinism, that is all we heard about for like a couple of months in the back chats.
And we don't have to go down this route because I know I talk about this way too often.
Determinism.
But subscribing to hard determinism, yeah. So I don't choose
moral nihilism.
Ron wanted us to talk about objective morality.
Yes.
So you don't believe morality is objective, correct?
I do not subscribe to it right now. I'm open to the idea, and I've taken a look at some of the discussions that you've had on objective morality, and I mean, so I would subscribe to subjective morality that I believe is all we have, and I can demonstrate.
There isn't a fucking ism that Justin doesn't consider at this point in time. Richard Madsenism, because he was saying he's considering that shit too.
I love listening and sitting down with Richard for hours on hours till 2 o'clock in the morning, listening to what he has to say because I just find it absolutely intriguing.
And Justin would debate anybody. He was the Scrappy-Doo of debate.
But John 5:14 states, "This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to His will, He will hear us." So, what's the point in praying? If you ask for something according to God's will, whether you pray or not, His will be done, correct?
Ran very basic, like atheist arguments.
Well, as an atheist, you don't have a metaphysic that can provide for a basis for rightness or wrongness of anything.
I would agree with you. I would be a moral nihilist.
Then why do you on your YouTube channel talk about stuff that's true and false and right and wrong like the other YouTube atheists?
What have I said?
This agreement made between the two of us was to have a debate on the morality of biblical slavery. As most of my friends and followers of the Empathetic Atheist Show know, I will be defending the notion that slavery is immoral in any sense, any culture, any time, regardless of the instructions of a government or divine being.
Is slavery is the laws in the Bible morally justified?
Okay.
Pertaining to slavery.
What would be your reasoning for talking about laws on what we would say limit or prohibit or encourage possible slavery today?
Well, I think because we're talking about is it morally justified? Mm-hmm. And we're arguing it from a standpoint, what we're doing is taking the Bible and using it as a modern approach. We have this mindset of the modern slave trade today. Mm-hmm. And when we see the word slave, that's what always comes to mind. So I'm just kind of bringing it back to, okay, this is what the Bible says, but we have to remember this is how we are still today.
Very disingenuous in a way though too, because he would often switch positions and pretend like that was what he had the whole time.
Oh, I've heard you moralize before.
Justin's debating all kinds of people, and I even affectionately started calling him Downing-Kruger because he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about most of the time.
This book right here, read it, have faith. Jesus says so. Jesus is God. God exists because the Bible says so.
And the Bible's the inherent word of God,
which proves the Bible, that proves God, and it just keeps going in a circle.
Because not only is he full of shit, doesn't know anything about these topics and these positions that he's adopting.
I'm still stuck with this.
Okay, so the premises of the logical syllogism need to be backed up by some type of empirical means.
So, I'm not calling myself an empiricist, but I still value empirical data to a point to where I'm not fully convinced that these are true until I have, and it's almost a little bit past skepticism at that point when we're speaking of just logical arguments.
At this point, too, a lot of Justin's bullshit starts to get exposed. Like he was harping about his military career and being in firefights in Afghanistan.
All right. Justin, you are on with Ethan and Jenna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well, thank you.
Hey, Justin.
What do you got for us?
What's up, Jenna?
It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to call in because you guys brought up a few key points with something that, hits big in my life. And that's one, the prior military. So I have post-traumatic stress disorder from multiple different post-traumatic stress disorder that I have is due from spending time overseas in Afghanistan. It was a bad time. A lot of stuff happened. She doesn't even know half of what happened. I just don't really talk about the gritty details. I always have this, I don't know if you could call it superstitious thought that somebody's just walking behind me ready to stab me with a knife. Or if I'm in a restaurant, we have to pick the back booth and I have to be in a corner to where I can see the rest of the restaurant. And
Usually, he invites a military buddy of his over to Master Debaters to talk about his asinine belief system.
Yeah, he messaged me on Facebook and it's just like, hey, so I'm curious if you would like to come on to my podcast and tell us what you believe in,
But he just ends up spilling the beans on Justin.
Yeah, so first time I met Mr. Justin Downing was in Washington State in 2013 in Fort Lewis. He was a mechanic and he was cool. He was a nice guy. He fucked with us. We fucked with him. It wasn't later on until my military experience where I became a drug addict myself. I noticed that I wasn't the only one with this issue, and Justin just happened to be one of them as well.
So Justin wasn't even really an 11 banger in the military. He was a 91 Charlie. Right? He fixed air conditioner.
We all had our habits, we all had our times and stuff, but I made sure never to bring my habit to work. So one first real meeting of this guy, I see this guy pass the fuck out in his car at the motor pool, just high as a motherfucker. And I opened the door and I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Chill out. Don't do this here. What are you doing? You're about to blow up the spot for everybody, So I don't know how the rest of that interaction went down, but I know I didn't catch him doing it in the motor pool again after that. But
there was times when his backstory would just seem to change, and so we would all bust his chops about it. We're thinking, okay, maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt, maybe he's remembering things wrong. But then he actually at one point during this time period said to me that if there's no video of it, it didn't happen.
All right, so Justin, let's get into the story of your journey away from religious belief.
That's a good story. It's one of my. I started off at a public school, going out to school with all the kids in my neighborhood, and second grade hit, and my teacher forgot my name on one of my papers that she graded. She said something like, "Well, Jonathan is doing great in class," and my mom was like, "No, I'm done with this." So I ended up going to a Catholic school. So I was going to school for 7 years there. I had religion class every single day. And eventually I got to about 7th grade and it was just a little hardcore for me. And I wanted to play with my friends. I wanted to be a kid. So I eventually told my mom, I said, "Hey, can I go to a public school like the one where all my friends go to that I live with, like in my neighborhood? And it'll save you about $4,000 a year. And you can send me to public school and I'll be totally fine with that." So eventually the start of my 8th grade year, I went to the public school. And
it comes as no surprise to everybody, kind of a surprise, that Justin keeps getting his ass whooped by these Muslims. And unlike how he usually reacts to ass whooping, he seems to like it when the Muslims do it.
Thumbnail is it, can God be proven rationally? And I don't know if I would agree with can God be proven rationally. I think God can be argued for rationally. I think the arguments that we've been through within the last 6 to 8 months of talking to each other seem very rational. I mean, there's no reason why I could call these things irrational.
So when you say proof, you like what? How do you define proof? So do you not think there can be rational proofs?
Something that can be shown definitively, without any reasonable doubt coming from my frame of mind.
And can that be done purely rationally, or is that
Here's where I am going to sit on this
very, very small edge of a building that's between empiricism and
Now,
logic.
the thing to remember is that during the pandemic, we weren't allowed to really go outside. There was no public restaurants. A lot of us were just stuck indoors, and so we had all these opportunities to discuss theology.
1 + 1 + 1 obviously equals 3. So if it obviously equals 3, there's also space, time, and matter. So if you add the space, time, and matter, you get 6, right? So within 6, space, time, and matter through absolute divine simplicity would be identical to each other. So you have 3 6s right here. They're identical to each other. There's nothing different between them. Which 666 is what comes out of that. 666 equals atheism. Prove me wrong.
There's a difference between having an open mind to things and listening and then critiquing and asking questions and being skeptical. There's a big difference between that and then saying, well, I have an open mind and then not just entertaining what's been put in front of you, but then also creating, this echo chamber, which then encapsulates you within the same language, the same vernacular, the same verbiage every single day. So it went from something that I thought was healthy to something that became very problematic or even dangerous. And
112 was it's my favorite one, which is Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yulid wa lam yulid wa lan yakun lahu kufuwan ahad.
Okay, and how long are you spending learning them?
any closer to taking Shahada yet?
It was about that episode that I started to notice a shift. That this was no longer a benefit or an asset to, whether it's the atheist community or normalizing atheism or skepticism. This was now, again, this is hindsight, 2020, but now looking back at it, that's when it started to shift. It was like, oh, you're starting to, learn how to, speak this and read this, and you're quoting the Quran.
We can accept that. Justin, welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Like all these things, like this subtle, the subtle progression has already started. And I think what it was, and I mentioned it, a few minutes ago, that need for approval. I think that's something that not a lot of people are talking about. There's this obsession, almost. There's this obsession and need for approval. And yes, Justin, you are smart. Yes, Justin, you do know philosophy. Yes, Justin, you are. And anyone and everyone that would give that to them or give that to him, he clung to it. One guess what, Jake and Abdul and all those did. That they did the Muslim circle jerk and got him involved.
Yeah, and at this point in time, it's starting to get pretty fucking obvious that Justin's either going to take Islam or Richard Madsonism. He's not going to be an atheist much longer. Yeah.
The Quran told us of something that was going to happen. It has happened. You're completely missing the point.
Well, you don't know what a Nostradamus prophecy. There's a guy going to go to the store today.
So you're not going to address what I'm saying, and you're just going to keep dodging and moving on.
I want to say that, he had a habit of, once he got, a thought or an idea in his head, he just stuck with it and stuck with it.
No, you're making a facile point which will not hold up to the actual argument.
Well,
and that's
then
what I'm trying to do.
show me how
Let's
it doesn't
compare-
hold up.
Let's actually compare prophecy and establish that they're equivalent to each other. Right? Instead of just one little guy goes to the store, guy builds a building, guy named John in the future, right? Those Nostradamus, something that actually elaborate and kind of
So back to what I was
life
saying, the flat-footed Arab people in the desert that compete to build tall buildings, that's happened. How can you show that the Quran, isn't true now? Because the same claim that you would make with the Bible, I can make with the Quran now.
And it does just that. There's no way to beat a pigeon at chess, Justin.
I agree.
I believe they used Justin's love of philosophy to convince him that this was the best way to go.
You guys haven't even brought up a single Quranic verse when speaking with me.
Because
Not yet.
any of us, we can strip philosophy away really quick and realize that in the Quran, this son of a bitch rode to the moon on a donkey or a horse or whatever, cracked the moon in half. We as atheist skeptics, we don't buy that. We don't buy that. There are underlying undertone or ulterior motives on why Justin, at the end of the day, bought in.
I go do. I actually have this innate desire to become a Muslim. I want to.
Take your shahada.
That's
And so what you've got in essence with Islam is a synergy between a rational conception of the creator that satisfies this innate desire within a human being that wants.
And it's the shahada that really helps motivate that process of learning.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Justin, I've told you in the past, dude, all you really need to do is just change one word in your YouTube channel. Just make it the empathetic Muslim, and you're good to go.
That was all in school. Just ended up converting to Islam, which was something that I did not initially see coming.
Let's do it.
All right. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. All right. Now in English, I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except God. And I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. All right, welcome to the sun, brother.
Alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
When I was told by Jesse and James that Justin was officially a Muslim, I knew I was about to be entertained.
From my point of view, it didn't affect me at all. As far as Tang, our subscribers, everything. Don't get me wrong. It was like, what the fuck? But of all of the religions, Islam.
When I found out he had become a Muslim, though, oh my god, broke my heart. Literally, just broke my heart. Oh, jeez, breaks my heart. And I reached out to him. And I had tried to have I had a conversation with him, and we talked during my lunch break, and I tried to try the reason with him, but his mind had been pretty set.
The very notion that this guy was somebody major in the movement is laughable.
Necessary level of importance, but I think any time any YouTuber of one position goes a completely other direction, I think everybody's going to be surprised.
And he did this episode with Josh, who was a former Muslim, where he made all these comments about F Islam, F the Quran.
Did we put hashtag fuck Islam in the comments below? Because that's where it's going. No, I'm just kidding. I respect all religious views. I guess. Oh, well, I guess. All people, regardless of their religious views.
That's the best way to say it. I love the people. I despise the book that they follow.
So we could put hashtag love Muslims and right next to it hashtag fuck Islam.
There, or maybe the Quran itself. That would be perfect.
All right, fuck the Quran.
And then it's like 3 months later he had converted.
And I have come to a belief now. I believe in Allah, in Islam, not through emotional means, but through rational means. So when you see these arguments like the Kalam or the contingency or ontological argument. So I think that once we get the atheist and the theist on the same page,
epistemologically,
then you can move forward to the next step. It seems like a lot of atheists that come to say, hey, we don't want to go through that long process. Just tell me how your specific God exists. Prove your specific God right now.
And the first group that piqued my interest were the atheists. I genuinely thought the atheists were going to erupt in outrage, and some of them did.
To me, that was just like a smack in the face. Like it was something I couldn't stomach. I made my video about it.
And it might be hard to see. I'm going to try to zoom in on it for you guys. But Justin changed his name to Khalil Allah and has Justin in parentheses now. I'm sorry, dude, but you're Justin.
I think it hit us hard, especially anybody that knew who he was, had any association with him. Unless you were privy to like the background conversations going on with the Muslims. I know a couple atheists had seen what was going on in Discord, have approached me several times since he came out, since I made my video.
So when you have somebody that position themselves as a warrior in this battle, somebody that's going to represent atheism, somebody that's going to represent normalizing atheism, which is a fight, and then that person converts, well, atheists should take issue with that. Atheists should try to understand that.
It's one thing when Christians go around saying, hey, I'm a former atheist. Like, that's what all Christians say now. But to actually see this up and coming YouTube atheist just convert right before our eyes, and not even to the lesser of three evils, I would say, between Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, if you're going to follow the Abrahamic God, but to choose the most evil of the evils, which would be Islam, in my opinion.
I will talk about how goddamn important this movement is, and it's too important for you to play around with it, Khalil Allah.
I try to be more understanding after that, but
outside of the set of all contingent things, well, then it wouldn't be the set of all contingent things. It would be the set
I'm
all
following you
contingent
there.
things minus
Yeah, all right.
one.
I'm following you there. Okay. After that, but
So that
it's something that I've never been able to understand. I cannot understand somebody that doesn't believe in the Christian God or the God of Abraham to pick Islam, and you're supposed to be logical.
Like an opening of the box and be like, oh, well, there's the demonstrable evidence for God. It's more of an intellectual change. It's more of I would say, an epistemological change that I had to go through.
So all the paid subscribers leave, right? And a bunch of new Muslim paid subscribers come in, puts Bryson West in a hard place. They end up leaving the show, and now it's Justin.
I saw the writing on the wall, and again, I don't think it was like dishonesty on that point, but I don't think he was going to be able to maintain just the same thing. His just belief system has changed. I really knew right away that, okay, this is going to change, even whether he wanted to or not. It was going to change to be more reflective of his new belief system. So yeah, I in hindsight, yeah, I would say I'm not surprised.
Okay. And Bryce, you?
Yeah, and so I have two things to say about that. First, piggybacking on what Skids just said, yeah, I agree. It was difficult for me to envision how it could possibly be the same, and I think he's doing now is making him a little bit more successful, and I think that what we are doing is making us a little bit more successful. So ultimately, I think we were both better off in what we decided to do compared to what had we acted upon his idea. I think it would have caused more questions. It would have been more confusing, and kind of a repeat of the first mistake that I think you made, which was just kind of a drip of not explaining anything, changing but not really explaining. And the last thing I'll say on that is I think, and Khalil, he can correct me if I'm wrong. I could be getting this wrong, but I suspect that he might agree that if he had it to do over again, he would do the reveal differently than the way that he did it. Because I think the way that he did it is what caused a lot of the friction, at least with the audience and the little bit that there was with us.
And this little atheist outrage thing goes up and down like a lead balloon, right? Complete fucking scam. The only one who seems to be outraged about the atheist outrage at him is Justin.
And I'll just post it in like Firebrand Atheist group on Facebook. And instead of being like, oh, looking forward to the show, or I gotta go to work, it's pedophiles. Come on, dude.
Wow.
Like, really?
What the how? And he posts on Facebook, and evidently me and Aaron Raw and everybody were all just obsessed over his conversion. And the truth is, I don't know anything about whether Aaron Raw was obsessed over it. I didn't remember him. I didn't even remember doing his show twice. Oh wait, you were the empathetic atheist. Okay, I realize I've done that show, but I wasn't concerned. I wasn't reaching out. I wasn't trying to protect anything. I had zero interest in his conversion to Islam.
Well, when Justin first became a Muslim in the chat, it was very kind of surprising because he went like full blown into it.
And like I said, the other day you were speaking with Jake, and at so many times I kept myself muted. At so many times I was like, no. But then I saw how calm Jake was being with you, and I was like, this is Allah telling me, hey, watch this. You see how he's interacting with James? You need to do that more.
That they really didn't discuss Islam with him, but they discussed arguments for general deism. So I thought that he would have a significant period of time in deism.
For 7 out of the 8 months that I spoke to you guys, 7 out of those 8 months you didn't even mention the name Allah. You guys weren't telling me to have faith in Islam.
And then he'd make comments about why Judaism was not a valid option, and it would be something very fallacious, something he really didn't think about.
Started to look into the Jewish faith, on what they believed and why they believed it, and I do have to say there was some parts of it, the traditional circumcision process that was just grossed me out, but I didn't want to let that stop me. I didn't want my emotions or what my personal preference on circumcision was to determine if I believed in that God or not. I wanted to do it from a rational, logical basis and leave the emotions outside until I see fit that it's appropriate to bring the emotions into it.
That one was so bad. The reaction I was expecting to get from the atheists, we ended up getting from the Muslims.
So when Khalil Allah first converted, he went on a couple of channels, and these were things that I remember that some of his Muslim brothers were telling him not to do.
So, you've had quite a journey.
Why don't you tell us a little bit of how you went from Christian to atheist to Muslim?
I brought him on my channel to have a conversation with Apostate Prophet, which is, he's a great guy. He's helped out my channel before, Apostate Prophet. He came on, they did a back and forth, and it was strange because in that back and forth, Justin had said that he didn't read the full Quran, and then by the end of it, I think he had switched it to he had read the full Quran.
Did you read the Quran through entirely, or did you
I have
attempt
not
to
read
read
it entirely through, no.
Not entirely.
So I'm trying to look up some, because like I said, 5 months in, and I've read the Quran one time. I'm going through the surahs very, like, over and over again.
Before this or after this, the very next time he joined somebody was on Oz's channel, and then he said things like he was going to be the most liberal Muslim.
I am attempting to become the most liberal and progressive Muslim that's on the internet with a show today.
And my purpose behind that interview was to not attack as much as I wanted to push back and attack, because I knew it was bullshit.
Sure, yeah, I don't think that you need God. I can be totally okay with, a man marrying another man, which I am. I have no problems with it at all. I have no qualms with it. My God can sit there and say it's a sin, and all I can say is, well, Allah, I don't understand why you think that it's a sin. I disagree with you, because even though I am convinced that this God exists, does not necessarily mean that I need to agree with said God.
It was one of two things. It was either virtue signaling, or it was very obvious, especially in that interview, he had no idea what Islam actually was.
And I remember that some of the Muslims on the back channels absolutely were not thrilled by this.
From other atheists in the community about how they don't know why I did this, because now I'm all about putting women in their place, making them wear hijabs, and supporting pedophilia. There's another one that's been out there. And you're coming at me with something that this guy was a pedophile based on the social norms that you know today? Yeah, that's not really on par. They're not. Those two objections are not quite right next to each other when it comes on the scale of reason and logic.
Sure. So regarding the age of Aisha radhiyallahu anha, there are a couple of things I want to discuss. And I really appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate you bringing the subject, because there are some clarifications I need to make from my video. Because some people, I don't know, unfortunately, maybe they have a filter or something, they don't understand what I'm saying, or maybe I'm not clear. I don't know. So the first thing that I want to clarify, which a lot of Muslims have been, I don't know if I want to say criticizing me, but whatever, because I don't really care about people's criticisms anyway. But I've been talking about, they think that I denied the ahadith in Bukhari and Muslim from Aisha radhiyallahu anha, and I'm sure you saw the video. I never, ever denied any of those ahadith. Alhamdulillah, I believe that as the ulama of Islam have written, that which is reported in the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari and the Sahih Imam Muslim, of course, sanadan and so on, is correct. We have no, even though, ulama have obviously discussed asanid like Ibn Jawzi and others at Darqutni in the past.
But he went on Ethan Michael's channel, and then he mentioned Aisha, and then it started like a 7-minute back and forth argument where it's spiraling out of control, where he's having to defend this position now.
We did talk about this before we went live to ask if I could bring it up, and you said it was okay.
Sure.
Mohammed, from my understanding, did have a 9-year-old wife or girlfriend. Is that?
It's not resolved. There are multiple hadiths in the Quran itself. It does not even state her age. Events happen, and during those events in certain hadith, which hadith is not the word of God, it is the imams and the leaders after the Prophet, peace be upon him, died. And there are multiple ones. There is an argument out there that I'm actually looking into right now that states that Aisha, his wife, was actually around 16 to 19 years old. 1400 years ago, girls were raised from birth to be mothers, to be literally baby factories. Like,
they weren't raised to play with their dollhouses and color unicorns and pink ponies. They were literally raised to be wives.
And the general lifespan of somebody during that time was around 40 years. So if you want to have a lot of children, you got to start early. So it's today, it's a disgusting thing to think of, but if she bleeds, she breeds. You know, you look at, these are human beings in a certain time. I'm not interested in the flying donkeys, pedophile prophet, you know, all this other crap that comes out of the Quran.
Back in. I know that at least a lot of them were not necessarily in favor right away with him jumping into Dawa.
In my opinion, a new convert should not really be thrusting themselves into Dawa, especially with how the Dawa scene is now. It's so much online, and you're dealing with all these different shubuhat, all these different doubts and everything. You're not ready for that at that stage. You need to ground yourself in the basics of the deen.
Yeah.
You know,
Justin even managed to get himself a fatwa on Twitter. All right, how many of us can say we've done that in our lifetime?
And everybody else whose stomachs are turning in the chat, I agree that I think that's disgusting. 1400 years ago, it wasn't so disgusting to those people. So I want to make that clear, because it seems like, especially in the chat, that I am actually making excuses for pedophilia right now.
Well, so to be fair, it does sound like that, whether you mean to or not. When you
I made it extremely clear that that is not what I'm doing.
The way you said, like, it sounds like you're justifying why it was okay back then.
I said specifically that I wasn't justifying or coming up with excuses.
In a moment, but let's say Muhammad was with this child. Times or not, would you condemn his actions right now for taking advantage of a child?
So yes, without hesitation, yes, I would, because I was raised in a society where that's wrong. So yes, right off the bat, I would condemn it.
Just the whole atheist community had turned its back on him. Well, you kind of went to the wrong side, Justin. You jumped into that authoritarian radicalization, and it didn't take long.
So I remember that Khalil Allah, when he was trying to figure out what he was going to do with his channel, is a Muslim. It went through like several reinventions. One of the reinventions was he really liked another podcast called the Thought Adventure Podcast. That was the guys who helped convert him to Islam, and where he took his Shahada. Now, he then developed his own kind of version of this.
There we are. Theology, metaphysics, epistemology.
Christianity.
Big words.
Logic and reason.
Welcome to exploring arguments.
So after the fatwa and all those catastrophic interviews,
affected by time.
Exactly, which is why I stated
that I hold a very minority
position.
Oh, so
I would consider myself a
heretic of Islam.
Right. The Muslims reined Justin back pretty hard. Right. They took over his show. He owned the show. It was his show. It was his initials, somewhat. And so it went from empathetic atheist to exploring arguments.
Like what evidence leads you to that conclusion if it's not empirical evidence?
So
okay, so
Let me have a try.
Don't let Justin
There's two
talk.
general
It's the
approaches.
primary director.
One is the idea.
Don't let Justin was required to have a Muslim babysitting him at all fucking times.
This also applies to not just atheist, the general epistemological.
Yeah, they even
view.
know he's a fucking weeaboo.
If
Like
we're
they're
making
like,
a claim
man,
about
you're fucking
God's
fake.
existence, we have to be able to provide
He
evidence.
going robo. Do we be like normal manners? Like, do we just let Justin in like we always do, or do we talk in a circle jerk about him for a fucking hour and then let him in?
No, let's let Justin in and explain himself and whatnot. You know, we'll be nice. We won't be doing the ethers.
Is way fun.
I like the fact that you have 8 viewers on here. He's backing off of my show because it's successful when you're just on here doing a circle jerk.
But that's what you guys be doing. That's what you hit ethers do. Y'all sit there and do circle jerks also, and then you try to say that somebody was wrong because you guys think you're fucking right. I want to know what I'm trying to figure out is how who convinced you? Who was it that convinced you to become a Muslim? Who convinced you to become a Muslim?
It was Allah.
You used to be an atheist. You didn't believe in God. So where did Allah fucking come down to you and say you need to be a Muslim now? Because you know Allah and God and Yahweh are the.
He doesn't manifest himself in a reality.
So yeah, me, Ray, and Kevin are doing a show about the EA every fucking night almost, because it's just so much coming out of that little corner of the internet. It's like a cornucopia of treasure. Facts. I am Toxic Taylor, and joining me is Ray to the Bay. And tonight we have something very special for everyone. I hope you all can hear me okay. How's my audio, Mr. Bay?
It sounds beautiful. It sounds wonderful.
All right.
Gorgeous.
So, our favoriteest person in the world has took the initiative to explain to the world how and when Muslims are allowed to lie. Right? He's been studying Islam for the last year and is a very credible source on liars.
What?
You heard me.
Muslims are allowed to lie?
Well,
I thought lying was a sin.
That's what taqiya, right?
Taquitos.
But unfortunately, we don't understand lying, right? So we need an expert like Khalil Allah to tell us.
Muslims are liars and they can be deceptive, and the Quran, has a standard for us to be deceptive. And
one of the participants made a slideshow.
Brother Hanif today has put together a whole presentation that we're going to go through.
In front of Big Ben is Sadiq Khan. He's a Muslim, Labour politician. He became the first elected mayor of London. We've got some more.
These are the kind of things that I was talking about. The memes that you see online, or as our good friend James is tired, he likes to call them maymays. But these maymays are kind of like, I said to the infidel, you've got the wrong Quran. True Islam is against violence.
And they were complimenting him on the video about how good the slideshow was.
Will be clarified because we'll go good presentation, mashallah, by Muhammad Hani today, and that will help you guys to understand the actual sort of picture, inshallah.
Hanif, for creating that presentation, that was very clear. We had a lot of people in the chat that were very happy that you put it together in such a way. Even our friend John Fisher said it was a great presentation. So if you guys want to, we'll go ahead and move on to the callers.
And then you found out that he had copied it all from, I think, a Vanity Fair article.
I smelled this.
It's
At the beginning of the video when they showed those pictures, when they started talking about the alt-right and what have you, and I said, this sounds like some BuzzFeed garbage.
And that's what
it sounds like. Well, what do you see? What do you think?
Oh my God! Keep going.
Now, it wouldn't be like a terrible thing if they credited him, or if after pointing it out, They admitted it.
How much of this did they use?
Oh, they didn't. I don't know if they used this, but I just
saw that. I saw that Eric Levant tweet. Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that.
Yeah. Here's the tweet. Yep.
Keep going. Is the meme?
All right.
The meme in there?
the meme.
The meme.
I think the meme is in here. And I don't. There it is. There it is.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Dude, they fucking plagiarized BuzzFeed and made their own video. This is fucking insane.
But what Khalil did was he went in the next morning and he changed the description of the video to include this BuzzFeed article. As you just told me, that was the proper article that it was.
Like, Justin was a lol cow, right? And we would milk him for laughs. But we're talking about a freaking milk farm with these guys. Did you notice that little brother's not there anymore after the Takia video? The secret Takia video. They just kind of fell out, right? First, little hat man, he fell out after the Takia video. Then Eunice and Hannah disappeared. And then ushers in the new age. With Justin left to his own devices, what's Justin gonna do? He's gonna pretend he's fucking smart again and start debating.
Do I like Mexican food? Yes, I do. I do like Mexican food. I like pretty much anything that has a taste. Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, we would have to dive into the verses. Like, for example, you would up the verse to where the carpet is spread across. When we think about a carpet, we think about a carpet flat on the ground. Now, I actually questioned this. I went to some Muslim brothers when I first became a Muslim. I went to some Muslim brothers. I was like, what does this mean? Is this arguing for flat earth? And they explained to me how there's multiple different verses, or not verses, but multiple different definitions for the Arabic word that is used, which I don't speak Arabic. We can get down to it. I can find the Arabic word. We can take a look at it.
I've got it. It's the ostrich egg, yeah? It's not necessarily that the word says ostrich egg when he said spread it out. It's a root word for how people would prepare a bed or how they prepare the ground for sleeping or for ostriches to lay their eggs. They break up the ground. They fluff up the pillow, you know? So that's the one verse that people might misunderstand as an egg shape. I don't seem to see any verses in the Quran suggesting that Earth is a ball, a sphere, a globe, an oblate spheroid, or anything like NASA are showing us on their Cartoon Network. And I have, like I said, made scientific observations at water level. We can see way further than the mathematics say we should be able to. And I'm told that I should believe in bendy light, and that light can curve around the globe, but it doesn't distort. Yeah, I've never seen around a corner, so I don't really buy that light bends. And even when we go high up in an aeroplane, we never see any evidence of bendy water. To me, we're looking at a satanic deception, or shaitanic, you'd probably say. Because, like I say, the Bible and the Quran mention the earth is level, stationary. We've got loads of verses in the Quran, I can list them, that mention the sun swimming in its orbit. I'm a globe skeptic because I'm sold on the idea that the Quran and the Bible are right when they're talking about 7 heavens being 7 dimensions, and that takes it way out of a 3D shape.
Sure. So do you believe that the Quran is truly the word of God?
I believe that it's inspired by God in the Bible, but I've got loads of quotes from the Quran where it says pretty much test all things and don't be misled by. So I'm confident from making scientific observations that the Quran is right, and that everybody that's being told otherwise is being misled.
It seems like you take the Quran very seriously, because it's not just pork that I can't eat. I can't really eat any meat unless it's
not halal meat.
So the Sam Shamoon, Khalil Allah back and forth was interesting.
are we going to save it for the debate?
No, this is the discussion. Go ahead.
Oh, so this is the debate right
This is
now?
it. Go. Say why do you hate the
Oh,
Trinity?
come on, dude. We need to have more people in here. This needs to reach more of the world right now.
Friend, it will reach it because I'm going to upload it. Let's not
Yeah,
upload
he's
it.
going to upload it. Go ahead.
But in the discussion, you see Sam say, hey, let's not pressure him. If he doesn't want to have the conversation now, let's not have it. Khalil Allah wanted it to be more public, more grandiose, bigger audience. And so he told Sam he wasn't going to have the discussion.
Kanani, why are you doing this to Khalil, bro?
Khalil, present your case against the Trinity. He was just
Khalil,
talking.
If this man doesn't want to do it now, then me and him, Khalil, will do it some other time. Because I thought you said jump in because he wants to have the discussion.
Yeah, he was
I never said I wanted to debate. I said I wanted to set up an actual debate. I want to give Sam the respect that he deserves.
But then the strange thing was, is even after Sam interacted with him and explained to him that he doesn't believe that, God can be systematized in the sense of a philosophical position, but that he affirms what the scripture affirms about God.
To have an actual formal
I
debate.
deserve respect.
Every human being deserves respect.
Very good. No, anyway, yeah, listen, I prefer to discuss with you without time limits so we can go into the depth of it. But if you want to do it some other time, it's up to you, man. That's up to you. I'm not going to put pressure on you, man. I'm just
Khalil, come on, present your case against the Trinity.
Just a nutshell discussion.
Stop, Khalil. Present your case against the Trinity.
Okay, so
the guy wants
yeah, he's ready.
All right, so what my general issue is, it all depends on the model of the Trinity that someone holds to. There's social Trinitarianism, relative identity Trinitarianism. There's Latin Trinitarianism. So when it comes to the Trinity, most Christians, and I state 7 statements that you've probably heard before.
Yeah, we've heard it from your friend. Yes.
Yeah. So Father's God.
I don't care about any models. What I care is what God has revealed himself in Scripture. Because
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Here's the thing. Because God is unlike anything creation, any attempt to try to systematize or fit God into a model is going to be impossible, because God, by definition, is incomprehensible, incomparable. That's something you as a Muslim agree, according to chapter 42, verse 11, and chapter 112, verse 4. This is why I called out your friend to see if you can consistently hold to a position of rejecting the Trinity while you're Sunni Muslims, in light of the fact that you have a Trinity of your own. So unless you have something scriptural to bring up, any model that you bring up will be a fallible, imperfect, uninspired attempt of trying to explain God's triunity, which is beyond comprehension and incomparable. So just because you may not be able to fit it in a model, there's no grounds to reject it, because you're not God, you're not omniscient, you're not the standard of truth. God tells us what he's like, whether we can comprehend it or not. So what is your biblical objections to the Trinity?
So I have philosophical objections to what each person's model of the Trinity is, how they see and how they comprehend the Trinity. So at that point, I think you would just appeal to some type of mystery, and then we shake hands and work our separate ways.
Because I would do what you do when it comes to your Quran being the Kalam Allah that's uncreated, even though it's not identical to Allah. You would say bila kayf. You would say that if you're a consistent Sunni Muslim. I don't know if you are.
Didn't I tell you that this was going to happen, that we wouldn't actually stick on the Trinity, that we would try to start
No,
talking
actually,
about
I did.
Islam
Everyone
instead?
heard it's recorded. Khalil, it's recorded. I said, what is your biblical objection to Trinity? Because your problems with the Trinity means nothing. You're not God. You're not omniscient. You don't know all things. Just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean it's not true. So I already said that. Give me your biblical basis for
Sure. Okay. From a biblical basis. Okay.
Yes.
From a biblical basis, do you hold to the Orthodox Church Fathers?
What does that got to do with the biblical basis?
That's where they get their statements from, is from the
Okay,
Bible.
so give me the statements from Scripture. Let's deal with it. You're dragging. Give me the biblical.
No, I'm not dragging. I'm asking you questions, and it seems like you fail to answer each question.
Okay, I'm glad this is recorded because I'm going to upload it. Which
Absolutely.
part of give me your biblical case?
No.
Biblical.
See, remember when you told Canadian Catholic not to tell me how to debate?
Is what I believe.
No,
you
that's
believe in
fine.
Tawheed. Show me. Give me. I'm waiting. You wasted 3 minutes already. Give me the biblical basis for your rejection of the Trinity. I'm waiting. We're all waiting. Don't put us to sleep.
Never claim to have that. I go off of people's models and show the
I have
incoherency
no
of their models.
chronic problems with Tawheed. Are you ready to hear them? Because you have no biblical basis.
And then now you're actually telling me how to debate.
No, actually, I'm telling you how to debate me on the Trinity. I'm telling you how to debate me on the Trinity. You don't tell me how to debate the Trinity because you know the Bible will shred you when it comes to the Trinity. I have problems with Tawheed. It's not Quranic.
What do you think of Dr. James White?
It's contradicted by the Quran.
What do you think of
talk about that, or are you going to run from that topic?
I'm like I said, until I have a debate with you about the Trinity on
a philosophical matter,
I'm not discussing Islam at all with you.
Khalil Allah refused to engage with him in those discussions, wouldn't talk to him about Islam. And then the crazy thing was, after this, like, big runaway moment from Khalil Allah, then he did a series of videos calling out Sam Shamoon on his channel.
Once again, Sam Shamoon ran away from me. He wouldn't have a debate with me. I challenge him on a debate, and he tries to change on how the debate's going to go instead of just accepting or denying the debate. Once again, he ran away from me. Why is he so scared of me? Why is Sam Shamoon so scared of me? I told him I was going to be live tonight. I'll be waiting for him. I have a recorded on my phone to where I called him 3 times on his Skype account after on God Logic's channel. He told me to call him on Skype. I called him 3 times. 3 times. I have it recorded on my phone.
Over and over and over again, including sending people to Sam's channel to try to trigger him, to try to, force him over.
No disrespect to Khalil Allah. He's a friend of mine. But if you're not ready to debate him on the Trinity and defend your faith, then you're calling me names, Muslim meta retard? Come on, bro. You didn't even make the A team on the D team. You didn't even make the A team on the D team. Come on, brother. You're not ready for this.
This is an age of Justin's going from a lovable, dumb, stupid Muslim baby into a kind of a controversial figure. And that's to say the least, right? That's the generous way of putting it.
Evidently he's a false prophet.
Shut the fuck up when I'm talking, dude.
Me and Justin have always had an unusual relationship, right? I would always laugh at Justin's stupidity, and we were kind of adversaries.
Do you think it helps to have a Muslim come on our show and hijack it?
No, but I know it doesn't help the atheist community, and I know it doesn't help the modalist community either, because you guys are looking like total fools.
Yeah, on the lives, we'd be at each other's throats, and I'd be, making fun of him. But behind the scenes, we were actually pretty good friends.
That you guys would love. He would love to come. I guarantee you he would love to come here and hang out because he talks shit all the time. When I was the empathetic atheist, he created his own stream called the Empathetic Theist just to make fun of me.
Outstanding.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
send them over. It sounds like our cup of tea.
He literally has this whole notion that atheism is literally atheism is a byproduct of brain rot. And he has arguments for it. So he is a Christian modalist. Actually, you know what? If you guys want to, do you guys want to bring him on? I can go get him right now, and I guarantee he'll come on.
You know what? The show's usually 2 hours, but you know what? Fuck it. Go get him. I'm going to get him
All right,
beverage.
I'm gonna get him.
Yeah, get him. Sure, absolutely. Why not?
Okay, hold on.
Why atheism is brain rot? It's simple. They're all physicalists. That takes a brain fart to believe in shit like that.
I think we actually almost have a kindred spirit.
As Khalil Allah got more into Islam, that he became, I don't want to necessarily say extreme, but he became more forceful.
In America, so the question that was asked to me was, well, would you kill David Wood? I'm like, here?
No, I have no reason to kill David Wood here. I mean, I'm under a different set of laws. I'm under a different law of the land. But in an Islamic state, what's stopping me legally from going and killing someone that's blaspheming against the Prophet?
Justin made a statement about he would kill David Wood. And at this point in time, right, he's already been alienated by practically everybody.
Sadly, that's what's happened. Is the people that were the closest to Justin, a year and a half ago, no longer have any relationship with him.
Do anything to him somewhere where you're going to be able to go to jail, then
Well, that's fine. Then I could go to jail with a smile on my face, knowing that I made God happy.
And me, right, knowing about Justin's marital situation, I decided to take the high road and say, look, I'm Justin's buddy, right? And he said stupider things.
Are you upset that I keep drawing all the logical problems within your beliefs, so you just want me to stick to mine? Unfortunately, brother, I'm not the only one out there. And unfortunately, brother, this is not the only platform that I use to debunk Christianity. So what I do is I tear your worldview down. And then I seal up all the cracks in the foundation. And then I build a true house of Islam on top of that.
Khalil Allah was talking about this young new Muslim woman that he had met on TikTok, who later on became his Islamic wife.
When I looked at Khalil, the first conversation we had, I said, I've been married twice and I've had husbands, but never have I ever once had a partner.
And I said, yeah, that's why I understood right away why that right. It was the match made in heaven. They both together have half a brain.
Okay? That's what's going to happen. So my question to you is, Lunchbox, is it not logically possible for God to be able to give one of his prophets the ability, a prophet that has no ability to read or write? Is it logically impossible for God to give him the ability to be revealed his word, and be able to give it to his companions?
Show me where he's in the Bible.
Okay, so I can. Not Muhammad.
But Moses couldn't speak.
So to say that it's illogical or unreasonable, it is in the Bible that such things did happen. You're so ignorant, and that little man energy is getting to be too much.
No, this dude's getting under my.
Yeah, I'm getting under your skin, just like you.
Yeah, because
you're
rude. Here's what's going to happen now. You're going to move to the audience when I talk, and then I can bring you back up when I want you to talk, because you're my puppet. Okay? You're on my show. And if you don't like it, you can leave. If you want to continue to be my puppet, you can stay in the audience and then answer when I tell you you can.
Yeah, so I actually defended the guy. I said, if you guys are that pussy offended by something that comes out of Justin's mouth, you might be as dumb as he is, right? And that's somebody I've been friends with for so long. I know he's definitely a fucking idiot. I'm not backing up what he says, but dude, you can't. Right? I'm not gonna fucking block Justin or react to Justin for saying something stupid. Right? Obviously, that changed when the Chomo charges came out.
I'm trying to. Oh no, I have a notification. No, it's just Sleepy doesn't. So
these things came out. I took a few days before I even spoke about them. But when I did speak about them, then I get a call from Justin. It wasn't like the information he was going to send me to try to convince me that his stance on the contingency argument was the accurate one. It was, I saw your stream about this crap. Let me give you a call. And I just couldn't answer it. Don't call me on the phone. Call your lawyer. That's who you should be calling. There were some red flags. We're going to get to the red flags after I show you just the information now. I do have to preface that everybody is innocent until proven guilty here in the country of the United States. But in my opinion, with crimes like these, when it comes to the abuse of anybody, when it comes to harming people, when it comes to raping people, sexually molesting children, then you need to be proven innocent beyond a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion. Especially if it's a child, and not just any child, but a child you're responsible for, whether it be your own child or a stepchild.
So I did not speak to Justin. He was like, she asked me to come on a live to talk about modalism. I said I will not appear in public with a fucking chomo. Missed me with that shit. And he got mad. He had some things to say, and he like kicked me off. Right, he left all my messenger groups, and that was it. I didn't
Now,
entertain.
when the indictment came out, he did not want anybody to talk about it.
Hi, talking about making fun. Hey, how's your GoFundMe page doing with your pedophilia case? Just
It's
like
great.
your prophet. But
It's
now, let me come
fantastic.
back to the issue. Let me come on.
Look
Down
at this.
boy.
Excuse me.
All he has is
Can we
personal
talk
attack.
now?
No arguments for the Trinity,
just
just
personal
personal
attack.
attack. So then when people started to bring out in the forefront, this is what happened, this is what they're saying, these two charges, this is what he's being indicted with, this is what he's going to have to go and decide to take to trial or plea. Then he started to go into, I'm going to sue you mode. This is slander.
Tyler Fiction. Someone on this panel had a relationship with his teenage stepdaughter.
Hey, Skylar Fiction. Thank you very much for your comment. It's being let's see, documented right now, and you will be facing defamation charges. So I appreciate that, brother.
Hold on a second, bud. Let me explain to you again because you didn't get it the first time. I stated, you said, when's my next court date? I said on the 11th, and I said that it is a pre-trial arrangement. It's a pre-trial hearing. Do you know what happens at a pre-trial hearing, Sydney? The judge asks, are you guys going to go with a plea deal or are we going to set up a trial? I am not taking a plea because I am not guilty of the crimes that are alleged that I committed.
I don't prefer to be referred to as an asshole. I'm sorry, I reject that.
He's only
Well,
half
see,
a
now
butthole.
too bad. You see the hypocrisy? Thank you. You proved my point.
Do you think the correction officers are going to use your preferred name?
I don't really understand why. Why is there a religious?
See, and this is why I don't come on this
Yeah,
app.
you shouldn't be
'cause-
here anyway.
Okay, so
Yeah.
who was that that said
You're
that?
kind of
Hold on, who
it
was
doesn't
that
matter
said
who
that?
said it, Justin.
Hold on. Oh no, it does. It does matter who said that because I had this recorded. I had this recorded, and
Then defamation files will be tried.
He announced on his channel that it was all because of religious persecution, that he's fighting this religious persecution. Announced he has a GoFundMe, but he wasn't forthcoming with his audience with what the charges were, what the situation was. He just
I'm in a very precarious position to where I don't, like, I'm not going to engage with personal attacks, and that's just kind of the experience I've had with some of the people that are on stage. So I appreciate you saying that. No, when Paul was talking, I really did. Khalil's nowhere near me. I just was listening, and I was like, you know what? That's a really fair point. And so I went and I amended it myself. Khalil didn't even know I made the GoFundMe until I sent it to him. So, I mean, he didn't even actually have a part of that.
Put the charges on.
But the fact that you have these allegations against you, and you have the audacity to go online and continue to stream, continue to ask for money, but at the worst, that you classify this as a religious persecution, it's pathetic.
because what Khalil was presenting was, he's being persecuted for being a Muslim. His wife's not happy with the change. But when you go back, and I'm even thinking about the situation, she was very supportive.
I gotta ask, how has the wife handled it?
Well, a lot better than I thought. At first,
wow.
she was scared shitless. She really was. She was freaking out, and she's like, okay, so you're Muslim now. So what does that mean about me? Are you going to make me do this and make me wear a hijab, and what's all that? And with Islam, Islam means to submit to the one true God, submit to Allah. my wife is not able to become a Muslim, or I can't just make her a Muslim because her husband is. She has to get there on her own way, through her own path, and truly, intentionally, through her own intention, submit to Allah. So I don't push that on her. I don't push that on any of my kids. My daughter is a Christian. My 14-year-old daughter is a Christian. And my other kids, they're just not old enough for me to teach them about religion yet. We raise our kids in a secular manner.
I'm not like having the guy on my channel. I'm not doing big lives with the guy. But I'm seeing like his effort to try to make money and to grow his brand. And so there was this YouTube group couple that were starting to get really big called Mr. and Mrs. Muslim.
We are new Muslims. We have been Muslims now for roughly 12 hours. Yeah. We took our Shahada at a local mosque about 12 hours ago. This is just an introduction video. We are Mr. and Mrs. Muslim.
So they had some issues there of their own.
But some grifters or scammers have found another way to make money through this conversion business, Islamic proselytization business. Have a look at this one. This is actually a very funny story. Abdullah Sami tweeted about this. So I guess this couple converted. Yeah, look at the quote marks. Converted to Islam and were able to grift almost 80K from the goodwill of silly Muslims, because we all know Muslims are very touchy. It's like, oh, Islam is the fastest growing. Yay, white people have good.
But Khalil saw that and brought them on the channel to discuss the issues. And then immediately after that, Khalil saw how much they got from like a GoFundMe and channel growth and support, that then he introduced this concept of Mr. and Mrs. EA Dawa, I believe was the title. He put a channel on it, was planning on content. Now the thing is that he kept doubling down. He's not going to, make a plea deal. He's going to take this to trial. He made clips about he's going to grill his ex-wife and her daughter on the stand.
So I will not be taking a plea deal. I will be taking this thing to full trial, and I will be putting my ex-wife and her daughter on the stand, and we are going to grill them.
And Jake was always the one at the forefront of trying to protect Justin during his quote-unquote conversion process. And Jake is a salesman. Jake's a fucking salesman. And Jake sold Justin Islam hook, line, and sinker. I'm not holding them accountable for anything that's happening, but I am going to hold them accountable for presenting Justin a religion and a community that will defend the kind of actions that we're now talking about. I will hold them accountable for that.
Anyways, I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them. That's the thing, is my trust is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His will to be done, and I don't trust the justice system. So at any point in time, like I said, people have been thrown in prison for these allegations simply off of a testimony itself. Nothing more than just the testimony.
And you know what? The truth always rise up above the falsehood.
Well, here's the thing: if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I should be convicted of these things and go to prison, then it'll just give me time, and I'll be out of prison, and I'll be a scholar. Even better. I'll take my time to study. Even
better. May Allah protect you.
They weren't waiting to see like what the evidence would bring, encouraging Khalil Allah to be off the internet, encouraging him to not victim blame. Instead, they were actually like joining in on the victim blaming.
Like, it's laughable, really. Just the lack of couth, honestly. Like, if you really, I don't know, you know, that just, it blows my mind. It really does. Like, I don't know if the intent is to be helpful or if you're trying to be like, you know, I just don't know and it's not for me to decide their intent. All I can say is about all of it, from his ex-wife to anyone who has this negative opinion of my husband, may Allah reward you with the measure by which you judge. Are sexually founded.
We
So
don't answer to them, sister. We don't answer to them or the atheists. Oh no, we answer only to Allah, and
you're
we
right, but
know
I
His.
did feel, and I know he's innocent, and this is the thing, like, you know, of course there's concern about my own personal bias, you know, towards my husband and whatever, but the fact of the matter is that these are things that he, you know, when we were in our courtship process, I knew about this the first time we ever spoke in person. He did not hide it from me. He has never hidden it from me. He actually offered to give me his ex-wife's number so I could ask her any questions that I may or may not have. So that to say that Khalil has been very open and transparent about the entire situation from the beginning.
And this is the whole fucking cast of Chomo sympathizers right here. You got Captain Spaulding along with the fucking dictator. And up top, we got the fucking Brokeback Mountain just sitting here with the fucking accused Chomo who's got fucking sentencing in about a week.
The thing that I think made it incredibly real to me, and just how like devastating it was, like, my heart was already pouring out for the victim, but her mom was kind enough to give us more information after Khalil was sentenced. In jail, and finally she's able to speak about it because unlike Khalil, who was slandering her and the victim, and Khalil's friends who were slandering her and the victim, she kept pretty much radio silent. But then I'm reading the victim impact statement, which is something that like you write and you submit to the judge. And I'm reading like her comments as she's breaking down this, and just the emotion that, you know, you feel when you read that, because me myself, I was a victim of sexual abuse as a child. I was raped as a child, and that's something that it stays with you. Like,
I remember once that particular conversation was done, I remember going into my studio and just sitting in my chair and staring at the wall. Completely perplexed, completely confused, completely lost on what to say or what not to say, how to act or how not to act, because, you know, it's one of those things where you thought you knew somebody.
I think this whole story needs to be told of how Justin, you know, not only is he a fucking sexual deviant, but he's a guy with a serious mental illness, and this has been exhibited in his rise and fall.